I'm Matt.
I'm Shane, and you are about to listen to an excerpt from a Comic Movie Marks podcast.
So if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that like button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks. And always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it. We're going to briefly talk about some of the Star Wars backlash or aftermath that's going on. We had an hour and 30-minute discussion on YouTube, and no one saw it. No one watched it. No one listened to it.
So go check it out, I guess.
Check it out. I thought Mike Bob, Shane, and myself, I thought we did an awesome breakdown of that movie and the potential it had, the ebb and flow, the pros and cons to the movie, whether you accept some of those pros or cons in the movie. It's up to you. Some of the answers that we got in that movie, again, is up to you. But not many people saw it. So I kind of just want to revisit and kind of break some of the things that we said in that down in a shorter format. And also talk about some of the crazy shit that people are saying. A while back, when we were talking about something, I don't know what, I think it was like the James Gunn quotes on his tweets and shit like that about Marvel and DC fans and stuff like that. I made a comment how in comments I've seen in YouTube where somehow if you're a Marvel fan, like you'd be called also a liberal retard as well. And I was flabbergasted by that. And I remember seeing also some other ones where like, again, if you disagreed with somebody on a comic book movie, like you're a Trump supporter. And I'm like, I was very, very bamboozled by that. Like I didn't understand what the hell the correlation meant. And I guess it's just supposed to be an insult in some manner. Either one of those.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
I guess supposed to be an additional insult. Not only are you dumb for liking Marvel or DC, but you are additionally a liberal retard or a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
So apparently that's somehow tied in. Hooray. I guess this is where we're going with movies these days and people.
And society, yeah.
And that's how people are going to argue now these days, I guess. And again, I saw this whole thing where Star Wars now has like become, I guess its origins are political, so I guess maybe it could be somewhat political. And on Comic Movie Marks here, we will rarely ever go into any political notions.
Yeah, we just talk a little bit just to salt and pepper an argument that we may have or an opinion.
We will skate over that shit like no fucking problem. Yeah. Because that's just not our bread and butter. That's not what you come to listen to us for, I think. I don't know if you really want to hear our opinions on that shit anyway.
No, you don't.
Probably not.
Spoilers, no, you don't.
No, you don't. Spoilers. Damn it, you ruined it. Again, I just don't want to go too much into this, but it's really shocking to see. Now, I've seen several YouTube personalities, people on YouTube, whatever you want to call it, talking about how much they hate the Star Wars movie and that political correctness and social justice warriors have ruined Star Wars. And again, I was just like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? What is necessarily your problem with the movie in general? Because political correctness on this show means nothing.
Oh, yeah.
We are down like a clown, like Charlie Brown on this shit, all right? We've called each other faggots several times.
We actually had someone who sent us a direct message that was I think briefly offended, and then once we described, hey, this is just who we are, this is kind of it's our shtick. We're not going to be politically correct. That's just who we are, and what's the term, like I offend everyone. There's like a saying that goes along with that, and
fuck you all.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the political correctness that and Comic Movie Marks show do not go together. No, not one bit.
I think only maybe 3 times we've ever actually censored a joke on this show out of the year and a half that we've been on. Yeah. 2 of them were me, 1 of them were Shane. Yes. And really, the only reason why some of those were censored, other than Shane's actually. But other than, because Shane's was actually kind of funny, but other than the 2 that I said, the reason why we didn't leave them in is because it didn't have the greatest payoff. It was kind of a jab joke that just didn't have enough of a payoff to really land that type of offensive humor.
Right, exactly.
So it wasn't enough of a payoff. If it was really funny, if I really thought it would have knocked everybody's socks off, I would have left it in.
Right.
But again, it was probably just more like an ooh and ah shock value. And I didn't want shock value.
Yeah.
I want genuine laughs.
Right.
But Shane's
or shock value of holy shit, these guys are stupid.
But Shane's was genuinely funny, but we had to cut that one out.
Yeah. We actually had a pretty extensive discussion. Now I'm sure all of our listeners are like, what the fuck was the joke? no. But we did have a discussion of like, should we leave this in? maybe on a blooper reel. Maybe at some point. I don't know.
We got an extensive blooper reel. There's one of us singing, trying to sing a song, and it's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
The ones that do make the cut are pretty fucked up.
Yeah, but this one was bad. This one broke the mic, I think, for a little while, if I remember right. Anyway, back to what we were talking. I kind of see some people's complaints about social justice warriors and political correctness have ruined Star Wars, and I see them talking about because the female character, lead character, is like overpowered, and she's only overpowered because she's a woman. Some people called her a Mary Sue. Again, maybe that's why they did it, but in the movie, they explained why she was overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly said it. Whether you like the answer or not, there is an answer. I saw so many people saying there's no answer for her. Like somebody was saying jokes of like, she's trained as a Jedi for 3 hours and now she's fucking on the same level as Kylo Ren.
Right.
And stuff like that. Yeah, she didn't have much training. She may not have gone through the trials and tribulations that Luke went through, but according to their explanation that Snoke gave, spoilers by the way, in Star Wars, for Star Wars The Last Jedi, that Snoke gave was that the Force needs to equal itself out.
Right.
Because of the rise of Kylo and the darkness, it has to have an equal and a balance. So there's a rise in light. So that's what's happening. She's getting propelled forward because the Force is trying to balance itself out.
Right.
It was clearly said in the movie.
And as Matt said, you don't have to like that. I personally don't like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's because it's like woman power and blah, blah, blah. It's just that's the reason they gave. She came from nothing instead of being a Skywalker. It's because the Force has to even itself out. That's it. And I don't know. People can take this. I can agree to an extent that there is a lot of social justice warriors and a lot of political correctness, not necessarily in the Star Wars realm, but there's a lot of, in just the political scope that we're in right now anyways. But when I feel like when you take the Star Wars movie and you're just jumping so deep into that, or for example, not that the female Ghostbusters was all that great, but when you go into a movie that thinking that way because there's all this diversity, it sucks. Then you're shorting yourself. Right.
There's this man, and I cannot remember his name right now, and I'm gonna really hate myself. I want to say it's A to Z, is a YouTube channel, and he did a great breakdown of forced diversity and natural diversity in movies. And he did a great one talking about Coco. And he's a Mexican dude, and he talks about Coco and how they just nailed it. It wasn't forced. It was just a story told about Mexican traditions. That was it. There was no forced diversity. There was no forcing like, hey, love Mexicans or something to that effect or something like that. But check it out. I think his channel is A to Z. It's a fantastic breakdown. And he really talks about the forced diversity in movies, and then there's the natural ones that are done right. And Coco was the one version that he was talking about where it was done right. Again, this can be forced, this can be natural, depending on how you look at it. But at the same time, my thing is that we've been experiencing this for a long time, and Shane and I have even talked about, especially with Disney movies, they have been pushing this for a long time. And it seems like now, just because it's a Star Wars movie, people are seeing it. I've been saying they make almost studios in general now. It's not even just Disney. It's almost studios in general now will do as much possible to get enough, a large amount of diversity in their movie to appeal to mass markets. That's always what they're going to do. They have certain sectors of people and certain type of individuals in movies to gain mass appeal. They will do things. They will simplify their story. They will add comedy to bring in families. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
They will always do this. And that's what movie studios do, because guess what? It's all about the money.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they will branch off and they're going to try different things. You have Moana that just came out recently. There has been Brave, which is a princess with with red hair. There's been so many different ones, but way back in the day, they had Pocahontas. They've done all these different things, but now, yeah, they're going to branch out a little bit, and they're going to give you different ethnicities and their backgrounds, like you say with Coco, and Moana is very similar to that. But it is done in like you don't have to love this Hawaiian girl and beating you over the head with it. This is just, different culture and everything like that. And it is done well, but that's Disney's style. And they've done it. Yeah. way back in the day, like with Peter Pan, they got into some little over or not oversensitive. It should have been oversensitive. Little insensitive jokes and stuff like way back in the day, but they've come far, and now it's mass appeal. And what can we do? The latest Beauty and the Beast. Matt and I were just talking about this, that the side character yeah,
not a poo. That's Simpsons. Whatever his name is.
Yeah. That he
the guy played by Josh Gaff or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, they what the hell is the Gaston? Yeah. Gaston's little sidekick guy. Yeah. He's gay in the Beauty and the Beast. So they're branching out, and it's just something. But that's what Disney always does, and that's not. In my opinion, I don't think that that's what they were trying to do. Yeah, they had the different races, and you had a female lead, and you had an African American and an Asian, and all these different ethnicities. But I think it wasn't more so of like, look at us, we're overcompensating. It was, let's just include different ethnicities.
Let's just chuck in an extra log on the fire.
Exactly. Yeah, well put.
And that's what we're gonna do. I mean, maybe we're numb to it by now. I don't know. I have certain movies in my head that I don't personally like because of whatever you can say that are really loved. Like, a lot of people love these movies. I really don't give a shit about Avatar because it seems like it's the same old movie. Oh, evil military versus indigenous people that are innocent and peaceful, living on whatever with nature, and they're going to get mowed down by the military, yada, 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 Dancing with Wolves, blah, 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 but now it's got CGI and 3D.
Right.
One movie that a lot of people love that I despise, and I understand I'm on my own island with this, that because I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that love this movie, but the Step Brothers. I do not like Step Brothers. And
I'm curious where you're going with this. Continue.
Well, because I truly think it's pathetic that 40-year-old men are living with their parents. And I cannot laugh at any of that because it starts off pathetic and ends pathetic all the way to the very end. And I just can't stand the movie. None of the jokes are funny to me because it's just pathetic.
Okay, so I still don't know where you're going with this. Where does
I'm just saying there's things you can dislike about movies because you think they have terrible stories, messages in them and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
So what's the message in Step Brothers?
No, well, fuck you. All right. I'm trying to make an example.
No, I agree. I do not like Step Brothers.
Really? You don't like, oh, I'm not alone.
Well, no, I'm not a big fan of Will Ferrell.
Oh.
Yeah. And even the other guy, I don't even remember his name. I'm not a big fan of him either. And
John C. Reilly?
Is that it? Okay.
Sure.
Sounds good. Yeah. I just, sorry. You lost me with the connection. But yeah, exactly.
There we go. All right. So we're going to move on because apparently I lost Shane. No, I was just trying to say there's things you can interpret from different movies that you may not like about the movie just because you have certain beliefs.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Okay, so okay, now, all right, there it is, full circle. Because you have certain beliefs, yes, because that movie, because the two brothers are pansies living with their parents, that you couldn't get over that. All right, I got it. All right, woo.
Yeah.
That train took a long time to return to the station, ladies and gentlemen.
Murder on the Orient Express. Holy shit!
Wow.
Lloyd. Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
But again, just leave it alone with Star Wars. I mean, I guess dislike it, but to have the clickbait on YouTube is just obnoxious. I was trying to make ours a little bit more appealing. Shane makes the thumbnails, and I asked him, put bucking the trend on ours. I guess try to make it show that we're talking about something different because everybody says, oh, this Star Wars movie sucks. It's the horrific. It made me throw up. It's like these most over exaggerated, hyperbolic fucking titles, and they're all getting huge amount of views. And I'm just like,
it's honestly, I do feel like it's Batman v Superman on now with Star Wars, where people they're jumping on that train, even if they don't.
But it's almost opposite. It was like critics and people were Batman versus Superman. And yes, there is fans, but it seemed like a lot of it was pushed by the news and just by websites and stuff like that. Media.
Sure.
There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Media. It's kind of pushed more by media with Batman versus Superman. With this, it's like media is trying to protect this movie.
Yeah.
With weird ass articles saying maybe you should refresh your ability to. No, hold on. Let me actually find the title here of that article that I thought was just so backhanded.
Yeah, I feel like just in general with Star Wars and people jumping on, like, people will go into that movie already hating it because of what's been put out there. You know, that's kind of the point I was making.
See, this is why people fucking react in the way they do, because they're reactionary. I mean, we're reactionary. But when you have articles like maybe people should refresh themselves on what movies are before seeing The Last Jedi. When you have articles like that.
Well, fuck you then.
Of course they're going to be like, well, fucking double fuck you, bitch. You know. Actually, I was just watching the Simpsons movie where he's like, fuck you guys. And like he goes into the sand trap or whatever. And he's getting slowing down and he's doing this. He's doing the double birds and shit. And he gets stuck and they're just beating the shit out of him.
That's fantastic.
That's what,
oh, man.
That's what people are.
It is.
I just don't think that it's a movie, and I understand there's a passion to protect the movie or passion to hate the movie. Mm-hmm. There's certain movies that later on in later podcasts that we're going to talk about that I truly despise, but I have reasons, and just a lot of the reasons I have seen is that they ruined Luke Skywalker, which I just don't agree with. You know, that's not my Luke. Even Mark Hamill's come out against it, like I kind of overspoke and stuff like that. Maybe he's getting whipped by Mickey Mouse. I don't know. But we've even talked about it, like a character that has just gone through so much shit. He already had his arc from 4 to 6. Now this is his new arc, and he reacted poorly like the past Jedi did, and he made a bad judgment on things, and then he regretted that judgment, but then it ultimately fell in his face. He got egg on his face for the whole situation. Of course, this guy's gonna be fucking pissy. Of course he's going to want to be in exile. He wants to be away from everybody. He just wants to die. I heard some people say, like, if he wants to die, there's plenty of fucking cliffs in that thing. Okay, maybe he wants to die peacefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like Homer.
Of all days.
Just hit every rock on the way down.
Yeah, I think ultimately a lot of people's problem with it is it wasn't as predictable as they were hoping for. And honestly, I still have to see it once, maybe 2 more times before I can really make a solid judgment on it. Because there were some things that kind of took me off guard. Rey not being a Skywalker. And unfortunately, I do like twists and turns. And that was one of them where I was like, I don't know if that really fit. But anyways, I do feel like people are they're so taken aback by change and by someone trying something a little bit different that they are just not willing to accept it. They wanted the predictability of, oh, right, we have another Skywalker and, and all just very simplistic and predictable. And they didn't get that. So now it's like the end of the world.
And you even brought it up in our review that no one watched, that there was a point where, like, when do you keep swerving or keep, steering that, you're bucking that trend just to buck the trend,
Right.
When does it actually work and when does it actually not? And that movie's about 50-50. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
The only reason why I like Rey's parents being nothing in some sense is because it kind of rewrites the Force and it kind of makes it where we can have more Jedi now. Mm-hmm. And it's not up to a bloodline. It's not up to a lineage. It's not just up to whoever the fuck wants it to be. It could be anybody. Yeah. And I like that. I don't like the midichlorians from the first episode one. That's gone. It's just there now. Everybody can be one. I don't know if that makes the Jedi less special now to people. Maybe that's the issue.
Maybe. Or the Skywalkers. I would say that it makes the Skywalker.
But it's still Luke a high-end bloodline.
Yeah, it is, but it's just, I think in a way it does kind of devalue Anakin and therefore Luke and kind of this story that you have built a little bit. And that was just kind of, and that part and bucking the trend and swerving people, that was one that I'm like, I don't know if that quite landed. But like I said, I think people are just, because it was less predictable and less Disney, to be honest. Like, this was definitely not a full Disney movie.
I actually felt like the director had choices in this.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. And I guess maybe that's just my problem or my thing is that, I guess so many people look at Disney movies because a lot of people love Marvel. So a lot of people that like Marvel movies are watching this movie. So they don't look at Disney like I personally do, or I think maybe even you do, is that Disney's super formulaic. They obviously have kicked directors out before because they wanted their vision in the movie. And it actually felt like this is the first time Disney allowed a director and writer
It'll be the last.
Probably. J.J. Abrams. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, pretty much.
Dun, 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 dun. He's coming in with fucking sparklers and shit.
To save the day.
Let me dump you a new Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Here we go. Luke comes back off the rock.
Yep. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Comes back. Just comes right back onto the rock. All right.
JK.
JJ. So again, just take it what it is, but don't sit there and say the movie didn't give us answers on certain things, because it did.
It's not social justice. I disagree with that.
I just think it's part of the trend that we've seen with multiple studios, that they are just trying to appeal to the largest possible demographic.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, then you should have a problem with the 100 other movies that have come out that do the same thing.
Yeah,
like even in Rogue One, Donnie Yen, the guy that played the blind, not so Jedi guy, I forgot his actual character's name in that thing.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But he even said he refused initially to join the movie because he knew they were just trying to appeal to the Chinese market. And he said he wanted more lines and more. He wanted to be an integral part of the movie in order for him to be part of it. He just wasn't going to be there to appeal to the Chinese market.
The token.
And so...
Can I say that?
Yeah, sure, why not? Who gives a shit?
I mean, it's not
token Chinese
guy.
Guy.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Okay, we need one of you, we need one of you.
1 little, 2 little, 3 little Chinese, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Chinese.
Okay, you took that another step, but all right.
Whatever. We got to show that
yeah, no political correctness.
He's the first Mexican in space. That means we have a future. We have a future. There is. Or you first heard about being a part of the Star Wars family. Why did it kind of take you back?
I thought someone was playing a game on me. When I got the news, I was like, why? Why a Mexican in Star Wars? I didn't see it coming.
So he even said that. But again, that's how I've accepted movies, because that's always what they're going to do. It's, female directors have to direct Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins did a wonderful job on Wonder Woman. I'm not saying that was a good or bad thing, but they had like this desire that it had to be a female, just like Black Panther just had to be a black person. It was like,
well, when you look at that movie, I think it had to be
actually, that's a very good point.
So,
you gotta understand,
I'll give him that one.
The guy that made Coco is super white.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's directed Coco.
He's well read.
Yeah, very well.
Yes,
he must have went to a Mexican restaurant. Check out that whole menu.
Oh my god!
Proof in the pudding, exactly. Or in the flan. Proof in the flan.
Oh shit!
So again, I don't understand what people really wanted from this. Well, actually, I guess we do. I guess we kind of just come to it. People wanted a more basic movie.
Yeah, predictability.
They wanted their Luke. Yeah. They wanted him. I guess I kind of get some people's reaction that they did kind of shit on the old cast. Like, Han's died. Spoiler. Luke's died. Spoiler.
What?
And Leia's pretty much, we know she's not coming back.
Yeah.
So, for other reasons. So, I guess that's what we got.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess
we're going to end this on a terrible note. Congratulations. You made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.